Nicki Minaj's clothes get their own hotel room. Nicki Minaj looks at so many clothes with stylist Maher Jridi, they get their own hotel room. "I usually have a room just for clothes," Minaj tells the Daily Front Row's Hollywood issue. "We'll have so many racks of clothes and shoes, accessories, shades, headpieces, all of that stuff. They'll set up, and usually I don't like anybody to be there when I first go in. I don't like my choices to be swayed. She just signed a modeling contract, but I'm not going to look like a model on the catwalk, and that is fine," she says. Could Beyonce be the Lion King's queen? She once pretended to be Sasha Fierce, so could pop goddess Beyonce get fierce again as a live-action lioness? It all depends on whether she'll snap up the voice role of Nala in Disney's upcoming remake of The Lion King. According to Variety, Queen Bey is the Jungle Book director Jon Favreau's first choice for the role in his new version of the 1994 classic. Donald Glover has already been cast as lead lion Simba, while James Earl Jones will once again voice his dad Mufasa. Nala, you may recall, is the lioness who befriends Simba as a young cub and who later becomes a key ally in his battle against evil Uncle Scar. The film's being conceived along the same lines as The Jungle Book, with big names voicing photorealistic computer-generated animals. The new version will feature songs from the film original, though if Beyonce is cast, we expect more numbers to be added to take advantage of her pipes. The news has got us brainstorming songs the singer could perform if she accepts the role. Here's what we've come up with. Can you feel the crazy in love tonight? Hail O Hakuna Matata. Single ladies, put a ring on it. I just can't wait to baking. Work well of life. Feel free to chip in with suggestions of your own. Disney, by the way, have yet to confirm whether Beyonce has been approached. The star's publicist has also yet to respond to queries. Mrs. JZ, who's currently expecting twins, previously had a voice role in 2013 animation epic Who was serial killer Donald Harvey, the angel of death who poisoned dozens of hospital patients. The death Thursday of Donald Harvey has thrown a spotlight on the dozens of poisoning murders to which the former hospital orderly admitted to, almost all in the manner of what he portrayed as mercy killings and earning him the label Angel of Death. Harvey, 64, died 2 days after he was found beaten in his cell at Toledo Correctional Institution in Toledo, Ohio, People confirms. No assailant was identified. He was serving 4 life sentences after his 1987 conviction for the murders of 25 people, most of them at Drake Hospital in Cincinnati. The Angel of Death tag stuck because he was often at his victim's bedside. But the serial killer's true toll remains murky. His admission and a plea deal to those killings spared him the electric chair. Eventually, he was convicted of 36 murders in Ohio and Kentucky between 1970 and 1987. He claimed, however, to have killed 87 people, a total that included not just patients or the terminally ill who were under his care in hospital settings, but roommates, neighbors, and lovers, according to a detailed summary of his background and alleged murders compiled by researchers at the Radford University Department of Psychology. Harvey's reported first kill, at age 18 on May 30, 1970, involved 88-year-old patient Logan Evans at London, Kentucky's Marymount Hospital, who was smothered by Harvey with a pillow and a sheet of blue plastic. She listened to his heart rate with a stethoscope until he was dead. According to the summary of Harvey's actions, he disposed of the plastic and cleaned him up, dressing him in a clean hospital gown. After Evans had died, Harvey had no fear of getting caught and notified the nurse on duty, states the report. Harvey's last murder, and the one that triggered an investigation and Harvey's arrest, occurred on March 7, 1987, when he gave a patient at Drake Hospital, 44-year-old John Powell, cyanide in his gastric feeding tube. That same day, he also killed Hilda Leeds, 82, by feeding her Ditacol through her gastric tube and in her orange juice. A forensic pathologist conducting the autopsy on Powell detected the smell of bitter almonds, which matched with cyanide, and knew that foul play was afoot, according to the research report. The pathologist sent samples to 3 other labs to confirm the cyanide presence, and Cincinnati police were alerted. Want to keep up with the latest crime coverage? Click here to get breaking crime news, ongoing trial coverage and details of intriguing unsolved cases in the True Crime newsletter. Investigators first considered Powell's food sources, then questioned his wife. But fingers soon pointed in Harvey's direction. Nurses at the hospital were interviewed, and during one of those interviews, Donald Harvey's name was brought up because of his questionable ending of employment at the VA hospital, reports the research summary. It continues, hospital employees at this time were volunteering to take polygraph tests, and Donald volunteered to take one after buying a book on how to beat lie detector tests. After calling in sick on the day of his scheduled test, Harvey was brought in by police for questioning and confessed to having put cyanide in John Powell's G-tube, the report says. He explained that it was because he felt sorry for him and for his family. He denied ever having done that for anyone else. Authorities eventually learned otherwise. Harvey was indicted for Powell's aggravated first-degree murder on April 6, 1987. His pattern of killings was unveiled after WCPO anchor Pat Menarson asked another reporter on air whether Harvey's alleged actions might be to blame for other deaths, attracting anonymous calls from nurses raising additional accusations about the orderly. Menarson shared those accusations with Harvey's public defender, William Whalen, who worked out a plea bargain that required Harvey to confess to all his past murders in order to take the death penalty off the table. On July 9, 1987, Harvey confessed to 10 murders and 2 attempted murders. He admitted to carrying out his killings primarily using cyanide for its hard-to-diagnose properties, but also arsenic, rat poison, and petroleum distillate. By 1998, he had been convicted of 28 counts of murder and 7 counts of attempted murder. The total would eventually reach 36 murder convictions, comprising 35 men and 11 women, ranging in age from 42 to 91, plus 1 conviction for intentional manslaughter. His methods included smothering with a pillow, poisoning with arsenic, cleaning fluid, rat poison, Demerol, morphine and codeine, deprivation of oxygen using a faulty oxygen tank, and attempted injections of HIV and hepatitis B. Not all of the 87 victims Harvey claimed could be identified, but his claims of responsibility didn't waver. Harvey's attorney did not consider an insanity plea, according to the report of his actions. Donald didn't want it. Murders took place in Harvey's home or in the home of the victim, but for the most part in the hospital in which he worked, states the report of his crimes. In an interview on a 60 Minutes 2 broadcast in 2003, Harvey indicated that the reason he got away with it for 17 years was that the doctors are overworked and sometimes don't even see the patients after they die, the report says. Before he was beaten and died, Harvey would have been eligible for parole in 2043 at age 91. The Ohio State Highway Patrol is continuing to investigate the prison attack. Tributes pouring for British cycling legend Mike Hall after he died aged 35 during Australian race. Tributes have been flooding in on social media for British cycling legend Mike Hall after he died aged 35. Hall was killed after being struck by a car during the Indian Pacific Wheel race from Perth to Sydney, event officials said. Organizers called off the remainder of the race several hours after the accident. And other two-wheel stars have taken to social media to pay tribute to Hall. Mega triathlete Sean Conway tweeted, "Today is a very very sad day. Cycling has lost a legend. Pride and peace Mike Hall. We'll miss you so much." Young cyclist Dylan Thomas added, "R.I.P. Mike Hall, do what you love people, life is too short not to." Irish road cyclist Alton Coyle said, "Mike Hall. The man brought us so much. A style of racing unseen before. A modern-day Henri Desgrange. A shovel bigger than any other." Presenter Jack Thurston said, "Awful news about Mike Hall, killed in IPWR. A wise, kind and sparky man and an exceptional cyclist. Much love and an inspiration to so many." Police from the Australian Capital Territory said a male cyclist died at the scene following the collision on the Monaro Highway near Williamsdale. The cyclist was travelling north, just inside the ACT border with New South Wales state, when the crash happened. More than 6 hours after the accident, race officials, after notifying his next of kin, confirmed in a statement that the cyclist was Hall, 35, from Harrogate, North Yorkshire. They called his death a great loss to the global cycling community. Hall complained on Twitter last week about car passing the race too quickly. He said on Sunday, "I'm fine thanks to those asking. You can add about half a dozen close fast passes since last night though unfortunately. Riders will want to be alert when entering this area, don't hug the shoulder, give yourself somewhere to bail to." Hull was in second place in the race when his global positioning satellite (GPS) tracker stopped moving near the scene of where the collision was reported at 6:30 am local time on Friday. The 3,400-mile, 5,500 kilometers race began on March 18 in Fremantle, Western Australia, south of Perth. The leading rider, Belgium's Christophe Lagarde, had been scheduled to reach the finish line at the Sydney Opera House on Friday. "This is a difficult time for everyone involved, along with their families, and their well-being is our primary concern." Police said the accident happened before sunrise. "I can suggest, given the nature of the collision, an investigation into the circumstances would suggest the rider of the push bike died at the scene," said ACT Police Sergeant Chris Mark. The driver will be spoken to later by our crash investigation reconstruction team. "It's early in the morning, it's dark, there was no fog at the time." The Cycling Tips website said on Friday that Hull was regarded as one of the world's best ultra-endurance racers and held the record for the fastest completion of the Trans Am and Tour Divide bike-packing races in the United States. He was the founder of the Transcontinental race in Europe. About 70 riders from around the world started the Australian race, with Hull one of the favourites. The race was unsupported, meaning competitors did not have backup or support teams travelling with them. Race officials said a tribute ride was being planned for Hull in Sydney on Sunday. Over £15,000 has already been raised on Just Giving to help Hull's family. Johanna Konta ready for another tough one after defeating Venus Williams to reach the Miami Open final. Johanna Konta says she is ready for another tough one after sealing her place in the Miami Open final with victory over Venus Williams. Konta was just 6 years old when Williams first won this tournament 19 years ago and has cited the 7-time Grand Slam winner as one of her heroes. But she is showing no room for sentiment as her grueling 6-4-7-5 semi-final win was a third successive victory against the American to become the first British woman to reach the Miami Open final. Speaking to BBC Sport after the win, the British no one said, "I went up to a 3-0 lead and had chances to go 4-0 up, but she's an incredible player and I knew it wouldn't be over until we shook hands. I'm really happy to have come through and I'm looking forward to the next round. It's going to be a tough one." It sets up a showpiece meeting with Caroline Wozniacki and gives the British number one a chance to win her second title at this level, a premier mandatory. Former world number one Wozniacki fought back from behind to beat Karolina Pliskova and reach the final for the first time in her career. Wozniacki dropped the 62-minute opening set against the tournament's second seed before turning on the style to secure 5-7, 6-1, 6-1 success. The turning point for Wozniacki came with a 9-minute service hold in the first game of the second set, before she immediately broke the check to seize the advantage. As Pliskova's first serve percentage plummeted, Wozniacki stepped up her own game, winning 75% of points on her own serve to wrap up what ultimately proved to be an easy win.